The viewing chamber aboard the Krell warship Dominance fell silent as Commander Zarthax and his elite warriors gathered around the holographic display. They had intercepted a strange transmission from the human colony on Kepler 442b, and what they witnessed would forever change their perception of Earth's inhabitants. "This cannot be real," Zarthax muttered, his three eyes widening in disbelief on the screen. Two humans, a female named Emma and a male named Jason, stood at opposite ends of what appeared to be a competition arena. The Krell had studied humans for months, cataloging their weaknesses, preparing for what they believed would be an easy conquest. Humans were soft, fragile creatures who relied on technology rather than natural armor or enhanced physiology. Or so they thought. "Attention competitors," a voice announced through the arena's speakers. "Welcome to the 2287 Extreme Endurance Championship. You have 72 hours to complete the course. May the best human win." Subcommander Vrock shifted uncomfortably beside Zarthax. 72 hours? What kind of combat lasts that long? "Watch," Zarthax commanded, his voice barely above a whisper. The course began in what humans called a desert simulation, a scorching environment that registered at 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Emma and Jason began running, their pace steady and controlled. The Krell warriors watched in confusion as hours passed, and the humans never stopped. "Why haven't they collapsed?" Brock asked. "Our data shows humans require constant hydration and rest." Jason stumbled on the 15th hour, his body covered in sweat, but he pulled a small container from his pack, drank something, and continued. Emma had already transitioned into a mountainous terrain section, climbing vertical rock faces with nothing but her bare hands and small metal tools. "Pause," Zarthax ordered. He zoomed in on Emma's hands. They were bleeding, torn and raw from gripping the stone. "She's injured. Why doesn't she stop?" The Krell physician, Doctrix Themla, examined the footage with her scanning devices. "Her body is releasing something. Endorphins, adrenaline, cortisol. It appears humans can biochemically override pain signals and continue functioning despite catastrophic damage." The competition continued. Jason entered a section labeled Arctic Survival, where temperatures plummeted to -40 degrees. He had no heated suit, only layers of fabric. The Krell watched as he built shelter from ice blocks, created fire from friction, and hunted simulated prey with primitive weapons, all while his body shivered violently. "This is madness," Vrock whispered. "He should be dead. Hypothermia should have taken him within the first hour. Humans evolved on a death world," Themla explained, her voice trembling. "Their planet has every hostile environment imaginable. They didn't just adapt, they learned to conquer all of them." By the 48th hour, both competitors had endured challenges that would have killed most species in the Galactic Federation. They had swam through turbulent waters, navigated toxic swamp environments wearing only basic filtration masks, and crossed obstacle courses designed to test the limits of agility and strength. Emma reached a section called the Gauntlet. Automated systems began firing projectiles at her, not lethal, but designed to bruise and disorient. She dodged, weaved, and when hit, she simply grunted and kept moving. One projectile struck her ribs with enough force to crack them. The Krell could hear the sound through the audio feed. She paused for only 30 seconds, pressed her hand against her side, took several deep breaths, and continued running. That injury would incapacitate a Krell warrior for weeks, Zarthax said, his voice hollow. She treated it like an inconvenience. Jason, meanwhile, had entered the final challenge, a vertical climb up a structure nearly 3 miles high. His muscles screamed in protest, visible even on the recording. He had been awake for over 60 hours, had consumed minimal nutrition, and had pushed his body beyond what the Krell considered possible. Halfway up, he stopped. The Krell leaned forward, expecting him to quit. Instead, Jason looked directly at one of the cameras documenting the event and smiled. Then he laughed, a sound that sent chills through every warrior in the viewing chamber. "He's enjoying this," Vrock said in disbelief. "After everything, he's enjoying the suffering." Themla pulled up biological data. Both competitors' bodies are in catastrophic failure. Muscle tears, dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, sleep deprivation, thermal damage. By all medical standards, they should be unconscious or dead. "Then how?" Zarthax demanded. Willpower, Themla answered simply. Humans have somehow weaponized their own consciousness. They can literally refuse to stop, refuse to die, through sheer mental determination. The final hours were the most disturbing. Emma and Jason both reached the finish line within minutes of each other, having completed a course that would challenge the finest Krell warriors even with rest periods and medical support. They had done it consecutively, with minimal supplies, treating it as sport. As Jason crossed the finish line, he collapsed. Medical teams rushed to him with equipment. The Krell expected to see emergency life-saving procedures. Instead, the medical team simply provided water, basic first aid, and blankets. Within an hour, both competitors were sitting up, laughing, sharing stories about the challenge. They're going to heal, Themla reported, scanning the medical data that accompanied the transmission. Within weeks, they'll be fully recovered. And based on human culture, they'll likely do this again. For fun. Zarthax stood motionless, his tactical mind recalculating everything he thought he knew about humanity. The Krell were bred for war, genetically enhanced for combat, raised from birth to be the galaxy's most fearsome warriors. But these humans, these fragile, soft creatures, they had turned survival itself into entertainment. They competed to see who could endure the most suffering. They laughed at injuries that would hospitalize his soldiers. They refused to acknowledge their own biological limitations. Cancel the invasion, Zarthax said quietly. Commander, Vrock questioned. Cancel it, Zarthax repeated, louder this time. We've been preparing to fight humans in combat. But this. He gestured at the screen where Emma and Jason now stood together, medals around their necks, celebrating their mutual victory. This isn't a species we can defeat. They don't fight to win. They fight because they refuse to lose. There's a difference. He turned to face his assembled warriors. Any species that turns their own mortality into a competitive sport, that laughs at pain, that treats a 72-hour ordeal as entertainment, they aren't prey. They're apex predators playing at being civilized. The transmission ended with Emma and Jason being asked what they would do next. Jason's answer echoed through the silent Krell warship. Rest for a week, then train for next year's championship. I can do better. Zarthax ordered the ship to reverse course immediately. Some wars, he realized, should never be started. Humanity didn't need to prove they were warriors. They had already proven they were something far more terrifying, unkillable.